And I was someone who was willing to do the hard knocks up front for the long-term payoff because it was short-term pain, but long-term gain. And so the long game is what we want to focus in on in our 20s because that stacks up and because of the compound effect.
It comes down to the relationships that we have and have maintained with other people and learning who is right for you, who isn't, and how to let go of the people that are not right for you is one of the hardest and most necessary lessons that I learned in my 20s. Hey everybody, it's Bianca.
And it's Emilia.
Welcome to another episode of Evolve Ventures, where we are helping growth-minded humans evolve by breaking one limiting belief at a time. We hope you enjoyed the last episode, number 292, Do You Fear Abandonment? Oof.
Oof.
For
Mm-hmm.
today, 293, Motivation Monday, 3 things we learned in our 20s. So I just turned 29 a couple of months ago. Emilia turned 29 in October. And we are both at the end of our 20s, entering into the quote unquote dirty 30s within the next year. So we wanted to impart wisdom, as every 20-year-old tries to do, into the world. But I do believe that this is going to come from a really great place because Emilia spent her entire life, and I've spent the last 8 years really investing in understanding ourselves, understanding the world, and trying to make this world a better place. So
Yeah.
we each have an individual one and then one we collectively talked about and shared. So would you like to start?
I would adore. Happy Monday. I hope that these can pick you up. So, the lesson that I learned that is probably one of the biggest that I learned in my 20s was more of an encouragement to keep going lesson. And I just want to preface at that. And the lesson is that the short-term gain brings a long-term pain. And the long-term gain brings short-term pain. And what do I mean by that? A lot of the times when I was in my early 20s, it was so easy to dip my toe into a short-term pleasure at the expense of a long-term hit. For example, when I was in my early 20s, it was a lot easier to go out partying and go drinking with friends than it was to actually really focus in on my studies or really focus on my health or really focus on my mental health. And that short-term pleasure had long-term consequences. And while I always knew that, it really, really solidified in my 20s. And so I remember people saying that in your 20s, you're really going to start to see the differential between you and your peers, who's willing to put in the hard knocks up front for the long-term payoff. And I was someone who was willing to do the hard knocks up front for the long-term payoff because it was short-term pain, but long-term gain. And so the long game is what we want to focus in on in our 20s because that stacks up and because of the compound effect. So that is my lesson. Bianca, over to you.
Not only in your 20s, but in life in general, because there's never an end point to this. You can always keep going and keep learning these lessons.
Yeah, it's an infinite game.
Mine is not everybody is meant for you. And whether it's friends, whether it's lovers, whether it's family sometimes, we have had the sincere, just beautiful gift and pleasure of getting to talk to so many people, and other human beings are everybody's kryptonite. Like relationships and other people are the root of almost every single problem, unless you have like a neurochemical thing going on or like a physiological or a biological thing. But more often than not, the biggest challenges we face, it comes down to the relationships that we have and have maintained with other people, and learning who is right for you, who isn't, and how to let go of the people that are not right for you is one of the hardest and most necessary lessons that I learned in my 20s. And if I'm really being honest, in the last 2 years, it's taken root.
Yeah, it's hard. It's so hard. So, our shared lesson that we learned, Bianca and I have had the pleasure of having a relationship at this point, it's almost 5 years. Friendship, not a relationship. Sorry. I want to clarify. Hey,
Hey.
babe.
Hey, baby.
A friendship for almost 5 years now. And so she and I have learned so much at the tail end of our 20s. And so this last one is going to kind of be a drive to five where she shares her part of it and I kind of share mine. So, Bianca, I want you to start this one with your part of it because then I'm going to add to it. And the syntax does matter.
Anything worth having is worth busting your ass for. That is the lesson. Whether it's having a great mental health, whether it's having a great body, whether it's having a great relationship to your body, whether it's having a beautiful home, a beautiful family, whatever the case may be for you, if it's worth it, it's worth working for and working for it and earning it.
Yeah. So critical. So my element to that I'll plug in and just emphasize to raise that up for everyone is how critical it is to be your authentic self in that.
Mm.
I know that's easy to roll your eyes at, but like what I mean specifically to get super distinguished in that or distinct in that is how important it is to express your truth along the way to know what is worth it for you. And doing so in a way that expresses a truth pebble, truth bullet, truth bomb if you need to be able to bust your ass in the ways that are necessary for the people who are willing to work for it. So, like Bianca is someone who has blown me away in terms of I've been leaning into my full truth along the way, and I've been more and more afraid to do that. And she's been willing to bust her ass for the things that are worth it for her. And I've been willing to bust my ass for the things that are worth it for me. And the more that she and I are both getting closer to our truth of who we are, the better outcomes we can both obtain because we are willing to work for it and put in the effort because effort compounded over time equals far better of a fulfilling life than that just stepping out of the game.
Amen. If you want to learn more wisdom from your two favorite people, I'm just kidding. But if this is something you want to learn more about, the You Do You program is a brand new program that we launched a couple of months ago. It took off and people are really really loving it, and don't just take our word for it. We're going to have some testimonials up from people who have done it, people who are part of it, who just have nothing but amazing things to say about their experience. So head over to the Evolve Ventures website if you want to see more about that. And yeah, it's worth busting your ass for.
Hell yeah, it is.
um
Okay, so my episode suggestion before I send that over, I want to encourage anyone that's listening to this episode. Y'all are in your own unique growth phase, and you don't have to be in your 20s, you don't have to be in your 30s. You can be wherever you are. We want to hear from you. What are some of the lessons that you've learned in your growth phase, in your growth zone, in and outside of that comfort zone, in your anxiety zone even? If you have a lesson that you want to share with the world, you want to share in the Evolve community, we encourage you to post it in EVS. We encourage you to post it on Instagram, wherever, and tag us, and we will repost that. So, my episode suggestion for all of you Evolvers out here doing your thing is 279 Motivation Monday. Again, growth is painful, and here's why it's worth it. Bianca,
That's a
over to
goodie.
you. Mhm.
238. Do you want to feel more empowered? All right, everybody, go crush your week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.